using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game Time Decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid. It's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Your 24/7 sports wagering network. The early line.
Magical and historic season in Lincoln, Nebraska continues.
He is the best player in the NBA, but also in the biggest moments where the national media is watching.
Newswire.
Something that we have never seen happen before with one of the iconic coaches in the game.
Pharrell Coast to Coast.
The team covers. It's automatic. It's every time, not sometimes. Every time.
Game Time Decisions.
Luka is actually far more dangerous from three on the road this year than at home.
This game here tonight, you may want to consider taking as many points as humanly possible.
In-game live, prime time.
We got not one, but two coaches fired systems in place.
Sports Rage
This
Late
sort of
Night.
has letdown written all over it. It's going to be hard to match the emotion that they played with the other night.
It's smarter to be on Sports Grid.
We're live on Sports Grid. It's Game Time Decisions with you here on a Monday night. Plenty to get to as we've got a Game 7 in the NHL playoffs. We do not have any NBA postseason action with the Mavericks finishing out Oklahoma City in 6. That Game 7 would have been tonight. Instead, we have our conference finals in both the East and the West set. We will break those down. We will discuss a little bit the odds, the conference finals MVP markets, and talk a little bit about the Nuggets and the Knicks being eliminated and the questions that surround those teams and the end of their seasons. We've got some WNBA action to get to. Caitlin Clark in the mix once again. A number of odds boosts out there around Clark, and, of course, a baseball board. We will go through that in a minute, but I figured we go quick pick style and put your MLB play of the day on tab, and that is Rays Red Sox over the 7 with Taj Bradley and Tanner Houck getting the ball. Houck, of course, for Boston, and Bradley for the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, when you look at this total here at a 7, and this number did bounce up, I know at one spot, to a 7.5, but the 7 looks to still be out there in the market, and that's key for me. When we look, these teams just played last week at Fenway. Same exact pitching matchup. The total was an 8.5. There might have been some weather. I actually did go back and look at a weather report from that day. A little bit of wind, maybe 5 miles an hour. It wasn't Wrigley Field. This wasn't some 95-degree perfect hitting weather situation. So we dropped this all the way to a 7. And ironically enough, the game didn't land 7 that time that they met. So to get this number with Tanner Houck, who's been a little hit or miss his last few outings, Taj Bradley, 23-year-old, off to a great start, but it's only 2 starts. And last year was not all that good for this Tampa Bay Rays team. He could be coming along, right? And again, I know Houck has been very good as well, a young pitcher, just 27 years old. But I'm willing to go against these guys here at a 7. What is a very, very light number. Before we get to the rest of the baseball board, I think we go to Game 7 tonight. Canucks Oilers as the NHL postseason is continuing to deliver excellent games and close games. You were with us on yesterday. We spoke very briefly with Dave Sharapan, who will be with us here on this Monday night, about just early thoughts, right? Kind of the vibe check on the hockey. And he said he was leaning Canucks. And I mentioned I was leaning Edmonton on the puck line, which at the time was around plus 180. It actually dropped to around plus 160. But, again, I don't mind betting my hockey on vibes. It's kind of worked out in some spots, and there's always a research paired with the vibes. But I thought it was hard to justify the puck line. The last game that these teams just played in Edmonton was the first decided by multiple goals. Okay, that's tough. There's sometimes narratives that'll get tossed around in sports that are not necessarily backed up by truth, right? You can't beat a team 3 times. There's, the old school narrative of against Mahomes, you got to slow it down and try and win a game 17-10 when really you used to have to win 35-31. And sometimes when you get to these hockey games, you go, oh, come on. Elimination, they're going to pull the goalie so early, you can get 3 empty netters possibly. We've had 11 series closed out so far. Only 5 of those closeout games have been decided by multiple goals. And both the Oilers and the Canucks in those round 1 matchups saw the final game of their series decided by a singular goal. So I'm not saying it can't happen, right? But if the idea was, when a series ends, the puck's flying in the back of the net because of the goalie's being pulled, isn't true. Especially with how much overtime hockey we've seen so far this postseason. So I backed off of that. And what I did play was Connor McDavid to find the back of the net, plus 135. I thought this was a great piece of business here. You take a look at the number for the Edmonton Oilers superstar, and he's got third choice here. Why? Well, it's not been a big goal postseason for Connor McDavid. Again, his work is always done with the assist. 21 points, 19 assists. He has 2 goals so far. One in this series, and he had one against the LA Kings. But you look back through the recent Connor McDavid postseason history, and in 4 consecutive games facing elimination, McDavid has found the back of the net. The best player in the league steps up, puts it on his stick, and finds the back of the net. At a plus 135 price, I'm good with that. And I don't mind the 4-game goalless stretch here. I would be a little more hesitant if the only goal that McDavid scored in the series was last game, right? Because now we're asking him to go back-to-back, which, again, is not how McDavid makes his due. He's coming off of a 132-point season. 100 of those were assists. It's, this is how hockey works. The best in the world are assisters more than goal scorers, right? That's why Austin Matthews had to get near a record-setting goal type of season to even be entered into that MVP conversation. And by the end of it, he probably won't finish top 3. Behind McDavid, Kucherov, and soon-to-be winner, you would assume Nathan McKinnon, at least what the odds told us here. So I am looking for Connor McDavid to score a goal tonight. I was interested, and I haven't made a play yet. I'm not invested in the Stanley Cup market. Look, as a hockey guy, I've not, there's no preseason futures for me. I had mentioned being tempted by Colorado on the show, I know, but I never played them, which obviously worked out as they were not able to beat the Dallas Stars. The Florida Panthers have become interesting to me. Best goal differential in hockey, second best defense on the season, and still a very strong offense, and an offense that I think has probably room to grow even more as this postseason carries. We've seen some great games for them in their opening 2 rounds, one against Tampa Bay and the win against the Boston Bruins. But I spoke very favorably of the Rangers throughout these playoffs here. I'm not as enamored with the Dallas Stars. I'm not. I was thinking of playing some exact results. Florida beat Edmonton and Florida beat Vancouver, 10-1 and 14-1 respectively. I've not got down on that. We will talk to Dave Sharapan as well as Joe Madden throughout these 2 hours and see if there's any more juice that we need to lay. WNBA tonight, 7 o'clock tip for a pair of games as we have our first back-to-back of the year, which is going to be the New York Liberty hosting the Seattle Storm. The Storm did grab their first win yesterday against the Mystics, which was huge. They did it without Nneka as well. Still questions around her availability, though that 13-point line certainly suggests she will be absent. I'm going to back away. Again, this is our first back-to-back of the WNBA season. Let's learn a little bit here before we run to the window, is how I feel. But we've got Caitlin Clark in action, the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. And I mentioned there's some Clark boosts out there. I just want to reiterate this. I think it's important for people to understand just the power of her star. The boost board is typically tied to whatever is going to be the most popular thing on a given slate. And I'm not trying to take a shot at the hockey playoffs, and I just led with the hockey playoffs, but it's Caitlin Clark's game with the boost. It's not McDavid for 2 points. It's Clark for 20-plus and an Alyssa Thomas double-double. It's not bad. But my eyes are on Aaliyah Boston in this game, over 11.5 points. Against the Sun, opening night, we went under her points. We go over now for Aaliyah Boston. That game against the Sun, that number was 15.5, 14.5. She has consecutive games with 12 points. Her volume is upticking. Her efficiency is upticking. And we will see Aaliyah Boston go over 11.5 points and potentially see Mr. W stay unbeaten in that league, which would be awesome. Baseball parlay. Rarely do it, but these were two picks. I didn't want to give it individually too much juice, so we bring them together. Logan Gilbert and Sonny Gray, each for over 17.5 outs, recorded at around plus 160. We're in the mix with you right here on a Monday night. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify in these majors. You got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. Mm-hmm. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Back with you here on this Monday night. And the conference finals in the East and the West are set. Hour number 2, we're going to talk Eastern Conference. Knicks eliminated, making way for a Boston-Indiana series. Massive number on the Boston Celtics, over minus 1,000 to win that series against the Indiana Pacers. Much different story in the West. The Dallas Mavericks punched their ticket Saturday night against the Oklahoma City Thunder, the top seed in the West. Minnesota eliminated the defending champs in the Denver Nuggets last night. What an incredible game. It felt like a moment, all in all, maybe my favorite game of this postseason so far. It felt unbelievable. It was hard to even come to terms with what was happening. And that does, by the way, lead to questions around this Denver team, a lot more than I think are being asked. Though it is nice that Minnesota getting their praise for an incredible series is taking precedent over the slander and the negative side, there are still things we need to address with Denver, and we'll do that in just 10 minutes here on Game Time Decisions. But let's get into this number now with Minnesota at -170. The Mavs check in at +138. I don't think this is a good number at all. Now, you guys know I am on the Dallas Mavericks to win the West. Bet it preseason, 17-1. I've believed in this Mavs group since they didn't make the playoffs last year. Run the tape, BATR. Bet them preseason. Love their moves that they made within season. So seeing them here at a +138 price, I'm not upset. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. I'm not looking to hedge. I believe in Dallas, but I'm just talking about this number. The Dallas Mavericks opened at some books as a slight favorite last round against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Number closed around -120. How do we jump up to -170 here on Minnesota? You want to say the Timberwolves have earned that because they've looked much better than Oklahoma City in the 2 rounds of postseason action? I think that's understandable, but maybe a stretch, right? I mean, Oklahoma City swept their opening round matchup as well. Oklahoma City hung with Dallas. The thing is, and that price, it was reflected kind of for some people in the Dallas OKC series. A lot of people felt that Dallas and Oklahoma City were almost fraudulent. I attacked that series differently. I love both those basketball teams. And when I said Dallas would win that series, it wasn't picking against OKC or their youth or thinking that they were fraudulent. It was a bet on Dallas, who I've said consistently, since they've made all their moves, only Boston, a clearly better basketball team. And the Mavs in this postseason, both ends of the floor, the defense stepping up a ton, and they'll need it against this Minnesota group. I'm not telling you the Timberwolves shouldn't be favorites. They have home court advantage. That matters a ton. And they did beat the defending champs, which is going to carry more weight than Dallas's win over Oklahoma City. But -170 Minnesota, who had worse odds, by the way, to win the West entering the playoffs than OKC, compared to a Thunder's number that was, we'll call it -120. It's too far. This Timberwolf number is too far. So if you've not bet this series yet, if you don't have tickets on either of these teams, I'm going to be on the Mavericks. Now, I'm on the Mavericks big preseason. I don't know if I'm going to Joe Lisi style double down and bet more Mavs. Shout out, go for the 2. He'd lay 2.5 games with the Mavericks if he was holding on to a big Dallas ticket. But the Mavericks do have something really big in their back pocket entering this series. Raheem Palmer of The Ringer, who's been on this show and he'll likely be on this show throughout the conference finals, has talked a lot about teams coming off of a Game 7 and how difficult it is to win the next round, and specifically Game 1. In come the Minnesota Timberwolves. Dallas has the chance to steal home court in Game 1 with a massive rest advantage. Having to be, they haven't played since Saturday, and they didn't play in a Game 7. I mean, that game took a lot out of Minnesota. You just know it had to. That's huge if they can flip home court right away. The Mavericks have not only not lost back-to-back games so far this postseason, they haven't won a game number 1 yet. So when we're projecting what this is going to look like for the Mavs, getting in early could be huge. Now, the big thing for Minnesota is they've also been unreal on the road. 3 out of 4 against Denver. Swept, obviously, the Phoenix Suns. This team has a 5-1 road record in this postseason, with just a 3-2 record at home. Keep that in mind. Dallas so far is 4-2. home and away. There will be road wins in this series. Let's pop open your conference finals MVPs. Tomorrow's show, since, of course, I'm not here with you on the Wednesdays, any series-long wagers that I like, I'll try and get them to you. Always, at the Kevin Walsh. We'll tweet them out. What you'll see with these numbers, and it's understandable, and these are really the questions. If Minnesota wins, it can be anybody other than Ant. And if Dallas wins, it can be anybody other than Luka. Luka's coming off a series against Oklahoma City where it felt like he was underwhelming. 25, 11, and 9. Those were the numbers. And he was getting better, it looked like, as that series was going on. 3 straight triple-doubles to close it. It's going to be really hard. And the only guy who can do it is Kyrie Irving. He's 16-1. If you look, Kyrie, though, had a really down series. Under or just about 15 a night in the series. We talk bounce backs all the time. Can Kyrie have a bounce-back series? Could Kyrie average 30 in this series? It'd be outlier. But the 15 a night against OKC was outlier as well. Jamal Murray last year averaged 30 in the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. It was outlier. But here's the other problem. It didn't result in a conference finals MVP. If you wanted to bet against Ant, I wouldn't run to Carl. I'd actually play the Gobert 50. If this series is 6 games of less than 200 basketball, and it's defense, 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 it's possible the 4-time DPOY gets thrown to the front of the line for credit. Ant's coming off a 6-for-22 game. Now, I don't think Minnesota can cross the line with him playing like that, but I think it's more likely Gobert would get it than Cat. We're going to talk about the Denver Nuggets and that disaster next. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Game time decisions. We're back here in the mix on a Monday night. And I think it is time we talk a little bit about the defending champions' attempt at a repeat ending in embarrassing fashion. No other way to describe it. No other way. This team, with the reigning league's MVP, blew a 15-point halftime lead, biggest in league history, in a Game 7, on their home floor, up 20 in the second half, for their third loss out of 4 in the series to be eliminated in round 2 by a team that didn't have pedigree, by the way. That Denver loss is inexcusable. You have one of the greatest offensive players we've ever seen. 14 third-quarter points. Come on now. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. The thing is, there are questions around this team, but I want to separate Jokic and everybody else because the Jokic questions are way different. They can be a blessing and a curse, but let's establish this. Nikola Jokic is still the best player in this league. That doesn't change. It doesn't. Nikola Jokic is still comfortably one of your 25 best players in league history. But Jokic was encroaching on a way different level of all-time great. Many people believed this season was going to end with another Finals MVP for Nikola Jokic. And if that were true, he would all of a sudden be locked into your top 10 players in league history with an eye on the top 5. That's not an overreaction. Players with multiple league MVPs and Finals MVPs. It's short as can be. No Shaq on that list. No Kobe on that list. No Steph on that list. LeBron, Michael, Duncan. It's short. It's a short list. Magic, Larry, Jokic would have been on that list. But it feels as if this loss helps us appropriately place Jokic all time. It's not a negative. Being one of the 20, 25, he might still be top 15 greatest players of all time is nothing short of unbelievable. But because of, and let's be honest, LeBron James, we have put the expectation on the league's best player to make, even win the finals every year. LeBron went to 8 in a row, 9 out of 10. That's what he did. Won 4 of them. Right? So when Giannis ripped off that title, can't find that guy in a conference finals. He's injured every year. It's a problem. Nobody talks about it. You start to shift the expectations. Jokic, come on, this team's obviously going to win the West. Nobody in the West could touch him. All young, all unproven. Round 2 Elim. 20-point second-half lead blown in your own building. It's just about adjusting where these guys are. But for Jokic, he's still league's best player. He doesn't. We don't leave this series by saying, oh, Nikola Jokic is fraudulent. No. It's adjusting where he is all time. That's all. Because he had a very real chance to be top 5. He'll never get there without a Finals MVP. He needs another one. That's the bar. That's okay. It's an honor to be held to that bar and an honor that he brought upon himself. This year, a failure. That's what it is. But Jokic is good. There are other guys I have questions about. Jamal Murray, what's up? Michael Malone, what's going on here? Front office, how do we feel on this Monday? What kind of questions are we asking of ourselves? Jamal Murray, unacceptable. Unacceptable. Jamal Murray's ability to light it up in the postseason, great. Didn't happen this postseason. We're going to blame the whole thing on the calf? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm willing to do that. And if you're Jamal Murray, there are smart people who believe Denver burned themselves in the back end of the regular season chasing a 1 seed. The irony in thinking home court was that important and losing 3 out of 4 in your own building in this series. But guess what? When you have Nikola Jokic ripping off MVP after MVP, maybe Jamal Murray should be able to lighten the load in the regular season and not just the postseason. Jamal Murray's never made an all-star team and he's never deserved one. You want to get appropriate respect? Show up in November. Show up in January. Show up in February. And Michael Malone, talking spicy all last year, all of a sudden doesn't have time for a press conference. All of a sudden things are stupid questions. Hey, Mike, how come Jokic had to play 47 minutes and you got 14 points, had the best offensive player in league history? I got that a dumb question? Answer it. Figure it out. We got questions now in Denver. using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game Time Decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
We're live on a Monday night Game Time Decisions. Michael Malone gets off easy. I had more questions. I do want to close on this, though, because this is important. The Denver Nuggets front office. Last year's title will never be taken from you, so don't get up in arms with what I'm about to say. The teams they eliminated last year were the 8th seed, a 4 seed, a 7 seed, and an 8 seed. They've never beaten a 50-win team in the playoffs. You won the title. It's all good. But now you were eliminated in round 2. So if you're the Nuggets organization, do you think it's just, we're going to get more rest and let's run it forward? Or do you now have to ask yourself, where are you not good enough? Because we know you're good enough with Jokic. We know that. Everybody else, it's fair game. And I mean everybody. From Jamal to Malone to Porter Jr. to Aaron Gordon to where'd all that great depth go? Everything is fair game in Denver. Because when we get 2025 NBA Finals odds in a month, the Denver Nuggets won't be the favorites. That'll probably be Boston. And I don't know if Denver will be the first team in the West we see. That'll probably be whoever comes out of the West in this series. And potentially Oklahoma City. And who knows what they do with a Laker team. Honestly, I mean, if they're going to potentially bring in Donovan Mitchell. So Denver needs to be realistic this offseason and ask themselves some hard questions. You got the hard part down, though. Jokic, we're good. Locked in. Best player in the world. You got to get everything correct around him now. If not, more of this is potentially on the way. Let's get to the baseball. I know it's a big night in the NHL, but we still got a baseball board full with action here and some games coming up to help us with that. It's Joe Madden. Joe, great to talk to you here on a Monday. 640, 645, 650, a couple of first pitches. So let me start, in Washington with everybody's favorite Washington Nationals as a home dog against the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, yeah. We are going to turn to the Washington Nationals in this one, Kevin. I know that you love betting on the Nationals, and Parker getting the start here for them. I think his strikeout number, firstly, is too low. You can take that to 5+ strikeouts, coming in at plus 134, and he's been able to hit this only in 2 of his 6 starts. But we look at the Minnesota Twins, and this team has struggled to hit lefties, and I do think in this one, we're going to see a big day out of Parker, so I'm going to take him for those strikeouts. I'm also going to look at the Washington Nationals because of that in those first 5 innings. I think they can come out nice and strong. Now, you can take them straight up on that money line at plus 138. I don't know about you, Kevin, but I'm not in love with the run lines for the underdog plus a half, unless I think it's going to be scoreless in those first 5. It's really hard to hit that. So I do think money line bet is where it's at for the Nationals in the first 5.
All right, little early juice there for the Nats, little early juice with Mitchell Parker. We'll see how that one plays out. What about this Red Sox game here, Joe, as Tanner Houck gets the baseball against Taj Bradley?
This has to be an under for me. I'm looking for both of these pitchers to come out so phenomenally strong. I know a total at 7.5 is hard to take to the under, but I really do think this one hits right on 7, if not 6, and the under coming in at minus 124. Now, I do think we have the opportunity of getting the Nerfy in this as well. That Nerfy coming in at minus 132. And there's also another bet that I do love because I have so much faith in both of these pitchers coming out today. I think that they can get those strikeouts on the board, and I think they get those strikeouts fast. You can look at them for 3+ strikeouts in the first inning combined. That's coming in at plus 124, Kevin. They're both in for really solid days. They faced each other just a week ago, and both of these pitchers were able to come out phenomenally strong, get those strikeouts on the board. I'm expecting the same thing.
So I'm on the over in this game, Joe. So if we could split it, no runs first inning, and then a little bit of juice from there. I will say, though, I did play over 7, and I thought that was important because the last time these pitchers met, it did land 7. And if it's a push, it's a push. It's certainly not going to be a loss at that number. Some Tigers baseball today. They're going to go to Kansas City against Michael Wacha. What do you see here with a little AL Central action?
I think Reese Olson can come out nice and strong in this one versus the Kansas City Royals. I'm going to take his strikeouts to the over. That's coming in over 4.5 at plus 120. Now, if you want to get a little greedy in this one, you could take him 6 or more strikeouts. That's coming in at plus 255. I think he has every ability here versus the Kansas City Royals. Now, I know this is a team that doesn't strike out a lot, but we look at the last time Reese Olson faced the Kansas City Royals. He was able to get 8 strikeouts in that game, and he has been strong at getting those strikeouts on the board for the Tigers. I really do think this is another game where he comes out here and can really control that lineup of the Kansas City Royals. So give me Reese Olson over the 5. I'm going to take him for the 6+. I think the 4.5 is a nice way. You're still getting plus money, but I want that plus 255 money, Kevin, at 6+ strikeouts here.
All right, always good to put some plus money on the board at Major League Baseball style. Joe, interesting game here in St. Louis. Sonny Gray has the baseball, 2 rough starts in a row, but still booked as a favorite against the Baltimore Orioles.
And I understand why they are the favorite because we know Sonny Gray has to get back to form, but can he get back to form here versus the Baltimore Orioles, especially with Gunnar Henderson riding so phenomenally hot right now? I can't do it. And we know Dean Kremer also can allow those long balls. So I do lean to this being a higher scoring game, but one that I think the Baltimore Orioles can get the win. I'm going to take them straight up on that money line. We're actually getting plus money with the Baltimore Orioles here at plus 110, which is just crazy to me. And then because Gunnar Henderson has been so strong, he's been able to get a home run in his last 3 games out there versus the Mariners this weekend. I think he stays hot, and I'm willing to take him at plus 420 for that home run. Now, you could look at him for the RBI tonight. I think that is probably the safest way, but there's really no safe way in betting. That RBI coming in at plus 155. Still lots of value there. I do think he is a huge contributor tonight for the Baltimore Orioles to get the win.
All right, little juice there for the O's. What about the best team in the AL East? That's the New York Yankees going against Logan Gilbert and the Seattle Mariners in the Bronx.
I love backing Logan Gilbert, but I can't here versus the Yankees. He's shown his struggles versus the Yankees going 1-2 with a 7.97 ERA. That's not a pitcher I want to back versus a team. And I think the Yankees with their lineup here can get the win. Marcus Stroman getting the start here for the Yankees. I'm just going to take the Yankees. I'm going to make it simple in this one, Kevin. I know we got to lay the juice at minus 136, but I do believe they can get it done today. They've been so phenomenally strong versus Seattle as well when they've been at home, and I can't go against that trend. They've gone 14-5 in the 19 matchups at home versus the Seattle Mariners, so I do think they get it done tonight.
Listen, I found that game kind of tricky because I'm using Logan Gilbert in a parlay, Joe, to throw 6 innings, which he's done it all but 2 starts. the plus 120 on Seattle was a little interesting, but I mean, this Yankees team, they're 16-6 at home. You have an under 500 road team in the Seattle Mariners, and Marcus Stroman is having about as good of a year as Logan Gilbert, and you're seeing a minus 140 number. I think just sometimes a team like the Yankees, you think you're paying a premium. I think there's a little bit of a situation here where people are betting, oh, they're going to lose eventually. I think if this number was, minus 150, minus 160, you got a great number there on that minus 136 number, Joe. And I think it's understandable with what we're seeing in the New York Yankees here, just playing as good as anyone. Late night in L.A., Dodgers, D-backs. What are you on, Joe?
Oh, I'm on the Nerfy in this one. I love to bet a Nerfy, and that Nerfy coming in at minus 118. Joe Mantiply coming out here. I do think he can come out strong enough in this one for the Diamondbacks to not allow that run in the first inning. And when we look at the Dodgers with Yamamoto coming out, I have a lot of faith in him to come out phenomenally strong. Now, Joe Mantiply has been strong, not allowing those runs, especially on the road. We've seen him have more strength out there. So I think that Nerfy really has an opportunity of hitting. I'm looking at both of these pitchers to also have a strong day with being able to get those strikeouts, especially Yamamoto. I'm going to take Yamamoto over his 5.5 strikeouts. It's juicy at minus 142. But you could always parlay that with the Dodgers to get the win, Kevin.
Yeah, so look, Yamamoto has been awesome this season. I will let people know I am interested in some Astros props, but with that starting lineup coming out a little bit late, we'll hopefully get those before we get out of here. Let's talk hockey next. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. And it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
All right, we're back with you right here. It is Game Time Decisions. We're live on a Monday night with the Game 7 in the NHL playoffs, the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. Joe, this has been an awesome series. Game 6 in Edmonton was the first game that was not decided by a single goal. And for the first time in this series, our total is not 6.5. It's 5.5. What do you see with Vancouver and Edmonton? Who do you like to win this game?
Kevin, I told you going into game 6, I really did think Vancouver needed to get that win, or I thought they would choke this away at home. So I'm really cautious here with taking the Vancouver Canucks because I can see that choke job coming. Brock Besser not in the lineup because of blood clotting issues, and thankfully not life-threatening out there. But for the lives of the Vancouver Canucks in the playoffs, not having him out there is a huge blow to this team. This team completely struggled offensively in that last game. They weren't able to get those shots. Edmonton stepped up defensively, putting light work on Stuart Skinner. Still no announcement on who will be in goal. I do expect it to be Skinner over Pickard here for the Edmonton Oilers. Whichever goaltender it is, Vancouver's got to find a way to get those shots on them tonight. So instead of taking a side, Kevin, because I really do think it could be Edmonton with the momentum, I just don't know if I have the faith in Vancouver. And Edmonton's unbettable at this price for me. The Vancouver Canucks have been the underdog in every single game of this series. So I've got a couple other ways I want to bet this one. I am looking at Vancouver's goaltender, Silas, to come out here nice and strong. He has to go over his save shot on goal prop for Vancouver to be able to keep this one competitive. That number coming in at 25.5, minus 114 to the over. He has to come in. He has to stand on his head in this one if Vancouver wants a chance. Now, Vancouver has to start firing. They have to get those shots. We know Edmonton completely limited them in that last game, but one thing Vancouver has done well during this whole series, even in that last game, which was their lowest ability to get those faceoffs, they have won the majority of the faceoffs in game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, Kevin. So I'm going to look at them in that first period to win the faceoffs. Now on FanDuel, you can bet every single period for each of these teams is at minus 113. I'll bet the Vancouver Canucks to control those faceoffs in the first period at minus 113. But I don't blame anyone that takes every single period there at minus 113. They probably win 2 of the 3 because we look at the Vancouver Canucks. In all 6 of these games, they have won. And even in that first game, they controlled over 60% of those faceoffs. So I do have the faith in them coming out there. And then, Kevin, I got to look at the highest scoring period. We're getting beautiful plus money on the highest scoring period. That's coming in at plus 210. I think that is the third period there because we know those empty netters will come into play. One of these teams desperate. I don't see this being a blowout. I think this game is just as tight as the other games that we've seen out there. This has the opportunity of going to overtime. Vancouver just has to play smarter out there. And I do think another bet you could look at is the no goal in the first 10 minutes. I expect defense and goaltending to be the storyline of that first 10 minutes. That's coming in at plus 112. But Kevin, for me to sit here and pick a side, I want to go with the plus money with Vancouver, but I told you, I think they could choke here. So it's hard for me to take them, even with the plus money tonight.
Yeah, really interesting spot. I did play the Connor McDavid goal at plus 135. McDavid has scored in 4 straight games, facing elimination in his postseason career. There's a part of me that wants to play over 5.5, just based on the fact that it's been 6.5. So the 5.5 is, oh, well, it's game 7. You know, that kind of makes me want to buy low a little bit on the total. But as I've said, it's hard to step in front of some of the stuff that we've seen in this series. Every game decided by a goal other than the last game. Right? I think you can bet this game to be decided by 1, basically each team's plus 1.5 and get a touch of plus money. But that also feels like the most stressful way to bet this game. And at that point, maybe you just bet overtime and you'd feel a little more comfortable with a wager like that. Joe, were there any other props that you were considering for this game, but you ultimately just couldn't get there on?
Yeah, I want to look at some of those goal scorers, and you think for Edmonton, it has to be Leon Draisaitl, in my opinion. We know Connor McDavid's been phenomenally strong out there, and I don't blame you for taking him for that goal. And if he gets that goal, I could see it being the game-winning goal that pushes them into the next round versus the Dallas Stars, and then he will be the superhero of this. But looking at Leon Draisaitl, he's been phenomenally strong out there for Edmonton. He's plus 120 for the anytime goal tonight. Now, JT Miller is the superstar right now of Vancouver. We heard them all chanting for him in that last game when he was able to get the goal with 33 seconds left on the board for them to win in that game 5 at home. So his anytime goal coming in at plus 200. I'm with you on thinking this game should go over that total of 5.5. I really do think this is played tight to the chest in that first period and even that second period, making everyone sweat this game to the over. But what I do think is it's a live betting opportunity, Kevin. I want to wait for that first period to be over to see if that total will drop. Now, if one of these teams comes out and scores phenomenally quick, we know Edmonton has the ability to do that with their run and gun hockey. If they decide to come out of the gate that way, we're going to lose the best of this number. We won't have a 5.5, I don't think, for the rest of the game. So I don't mind putting a little bit of money on the over 5.5 now, but I ultimately like to see this to drop to 4.5 and then hit it over at that point. But I do think looking at a couple of those goal scorers, Elias Pettersson as well for the Vancouver Canucks with Brock Besner out of this lineup really has to step up. And there's been so much stress and pressure on him to step up. And I think his anytime goal at plus 230 holds so much value as well. These shots from Vancouver just didn't come in the last game, but what we did see was that one goal. I think we can look for a couple of those guys to score the goals in this one, Kevin.
Yeah, I think it makes plenty of sense there. Before we let you get out of here, Joe, if you were Dallas, it's not a slight, but who do you think is the more dangerous matchup for the Stars?
More dangerous matchup would be Vancouver if they can get Demko back. But you know what? Neither of these teams, Kevin, you look at the Stars, that depth of the Stars right now, if Vancouver doesn't get Demko back in goal, I don't know if Vancouver can get it done. And Edmonton doesn't have the defense and the goaltending against the Dallas Stars, who are just so deep. So I think Dallas is sitting fat and sassy right now.
Listen, good spot then for those Dallas Stars, no doubt about it. And Joe will continue to help us break down this NHL postseason, which has been delivering throughout. Joe, we appreciate it as always. Coming up next, some Major League Baseball futures for the people. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Back with you right here at Sports Grid. It's Game Time Decisions. I want to talk a little Major League Baseball and some futures in the awards market. And sometimes I like to take the chance to talk a few things out here with people before placing some of these wagers, and I've kind of been talking this out with some of our crew behind the scenes as well, who will always be involved with these baseball futures. And one pitcher's market, and here's the other thing. So I'm going to talk some pitcher's markets. I have hesitation to bet positive pitcher futures. There is an injury problem in this league with starting pitchers. That is the reality of it. So timing the bet is even more important, right? And that's why I don't want to play anything in April. So is playing something here on May 20th worth it? It's something that I'm struggling with. And you would imagine if I'm going to bet something on May 20th, with my hesitation, I have to be getting 20-1 or longer. The first number I want to discuss is even money. You could probably find a bit better in the market. I know there's a plus 110, but it is on Shota Imanaga to win the NL Rookie of the Year. We on this show did a look to the NL's moving Cy Young market in the very, very beginning of May, where at the time the Cy Young, if it was voted on, and I know it's not, but if it was either going to be Ranger Suarez or Imanaga. And both guys have continued their tear. And both guys have seen their numbers drop significantly. Imanaga finds himself now at the second best odds to win the NL Cy Young at plus 480. That Imanaga's Rookie of the Year price, I feel, hasn't moved as much. It's currently even money. We're using just FanDuel odds here to make this simple. Behind him is Yamamoto, plus 430, Jared Jones, plus 750, and then Paul Skeens at 11-1. It would be really surprising if it was not one of these pitchers to take this award down. Which even makes this a little bit more difficult then, because now it just feels like all your top contenders, we are, at least I am, worried about some level of injury. But here's the simplest part of this on Imanaga. If Yamamoto was having this exact season that Imanaga was having, I think Yamamoto would have shorter odds for NL Cy Young than we have for Imanaga to win NL Rookie of the Year. If Yamamoto was pitching to a .84 ERA, 9 starts in, where in 5 of them he didn't even give up a run, I think he would be minus 110 to probably win Cy Young, and minus 250, minus 300 to win Rookie of the Year. Yamamoto had a bit more pedigree entering this conversation than Imanaga. But Imanaga has pedigree. And of course, this is a somewhat unique situation, right? He's 30 and has been playing professional baseball for quite some time. And he's been able to hit the ground running, Imanaga. So what I need more than anything to play a pitcher future is value. And basically what is holding Imanaga back is not one, but 2 superstars right behind him, with respect to Jared Jones in Yamamoto and Paul Skeens. And I've talked about the Paul Skeens strikeout stuff a million times. I better bet that under 151.5 to make it worth all of your while. But Paul Skeens is 11-1 to win Rookie of the Year. And the favorite in that market is the second best number to win Cy Young. Skeens is 200-1 to win the NL Cy Young. Skeens is not competing against normal rookies. He's competing against a guy who's supposed to win Cy Young, possibly, and would if the season ended today. So if Skeens is holding the number back, and if Yamamoto's holding the number back, then we're getting a good number still at even money. I'm very tempted by it. The other number I'm looking at is a comparable situation to what we discussed with Shota Imanaga in the National League happening in the American League. If I gave you a ballot right now for AL Cy Young, you want to know how it would not be filled out? Skubal, Burns, Castillo, Pablo Lopez, Cole Reagans. That's your top 5 in odds. I promise you, your ballot in the top 5, at least it better, otherwise you need to lose that vote, would have Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo probably would win the American League Cy Young if things ended up today. They don't, but he's 25-1. And that's not a bad number. We're going to reset the card for you right here. It's Game Time Decisions on a Monday night. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game Time Decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Back with here, it's Game Time Decisions. Happy to have you on a Monday night as we continue to roll through and reset the card. I want to just start quickly WNBA style as we've got two games that are going to be tipping quite shortly. And I'll start actually with the game that I'm not involved in, which is Liberty Storm. Let me just make sure. Aaliyah Boston over the 11.5 points. That didn't get in the mix. I'll explain it in a moment. Liberty Storm, I'm a little tempted to grab Seattle plus the 13.5. Nneka is going to miss this game, who is one of the huge acquisitions they made, along with Skylar Diggins-Smith, of course. And that's part of the reason we have this number. But she did miss last game, and the Storm grabbed their first win of the season. You're getting the Seattle Storm at a number that's pretty much the same that they laid to the Fever, and just pricing, the books would tell you the Fever are not in the class of the Seattle Storm. Now, ironically enough, I don't fully agree with that. Right, it's why I played the Fever season long in the way that I did. But that 13.5 number, if I were betting that game, that would be how I would look. Now, what I am betting is Aaliyah Boston, and I want to go through this in a little more depth. Again, 11.5 points. If you can still get it, get in the mix there, that's the number. The WNBA has been, I mean, look, it's amazing. Sometimes you get so hot, because I'm really not like this. Look, we like to have fun, but I don't ever, just because I've bet enough and dealt with enough losses, I don't ever want to be like, ha, 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 look at me. But you get excited. We haven't lost a WNBA bet here on this show. 10-0, plus money in the mix. And I was tempted to bet the Aaliyah Boston double-double at plus 350. Part of the reason I didn't is if I was going to go above, I would have wanted a base points plus rebounds prop, and we didn't get that tonight. We did get a points prop, though, at 11.5. I was going to probably play this number over at 12.5. And I can't truly figure out why they have dropped this number in the way that they have. So this number was 15.5 on opening night. I was going to play that under. I ended up kind of Sometimes it just takes me a while. I like to run through the card before I don't place the bets as I go along. Again, probably an unnecessary piece of information. But nevertheless, I missed out. It was 14.5, but that was still good for me. That was opening night against the Connecticut Sun, who they are playing here right now. And it was a bang under. I mean, Aaliyah Boston never was close to hitting that prop. She scored in the single digits in that basketball game. And it was a little jarring, right? I mean, she only got to 4 points, 29 minutes, dealt with foul trouble. She struggled in the game. But she followed that next game up with 12 points and 15 field goal attempts, which is huge. Okay, so, all right, not only points ticked up, 15 shot attempts. That's what we're looking for. Now we're talking. If we can get 15 field goal attempts for Aaliyah Boston, she's going to average 17, 18 a night. In her rookie season, she shot 58% from the field. What is she shooting this year? Currently, 3 games, 39%. So that's the outlier. Game number 2, both against the Liberty. She scored 12 points, 5 of 10 shooting. Okay, so now we've hit the efficiency. So can you pair it now if you're Aaliyah Boston? Can you pair the efficiency and the volume? I am sure for people, the easy assumption is Caitlin Clark stepped in. It's taking away from Aaliyah, and she's going to go from last year being a player who averaged 14.5 a game to 10 a night. Except she's averaging more field goal attempts per game this year than she did last. 10.1 to 10.3, but the numbers are the number. And if Aaliyah Boston's going to get better in her sophomore season, which should be the expectation, she should be getting better looks, right, with Caitlin Clark as her point guard. I think you get rhythm start to develop here for Aaliyah Boston. I think you start to get more comfortable playing alongside Caitlin Clark. And I think you've got a lot of value on this 11.5 number, and I'm on it early. An early lead for the Sun and the Fever. One other quick WNBA note. Because you have Alyssa Thomas tonight on an odds boost for people with Clark to hit 3 threes and Alyssa Thomas to grab a double-double, as Clark did just knock down a 3. Alyssa Thomas last year, the WNBA's MVP race was so fascinating. It was a legit, tight 3-person race that ultimately saw Breanna Stewart win it, despite Alyssa Thomas getting the most first-place votes, and a lot of people thinking Aja's the best player in the world. And somehow that was all simultaneously true. Aja at even money, I talked about it. I believe she will win league MVP. I probably would have voted for her last year, but I couldn't bet it at that price. So the Alyssa Thomas price is plus 850. And if you look at Alyssa Thomas last season, right, she the triple-doubles were obviously eye-popping because for the WNBA, that was abnormal. So she averaged on the year 15.5 points per game, 9.9 boards, and 7.9 assists. But she started to put the triple-doubles together. She is, at this moment, 1 assist away, 2 games, 1 assist away from averaging a pure triple-double. As much as I feel that Alyssa Thomas is going to win this award, right, because, they want to give it to her. Well, it looks like last year they wanted to give it to Alyssa Thomas. That didn't work, and she's potentially going to average a triple-double. Remember when Russ averaged a triple-double? He won that thing going away. Right? And it was the first time since Oscar. Certainly no one's averaged a triple-double in WNBA history. So this is, to me, if you want to play that MVP market, and I'm not getting involved, I just don't trust the market enough with how crazy last year was. But playing Alyssa Thomas, if she can average a triple-double or near it, right? If she averages a triple-double, she's probably winning the award, right? If she can average that triple-double, you're getting a great number at plus 850. And then hope that it becomes a race between just her and Aja, and Breanna Stewart drops off. And then you're going to be able to take that plus 850 and make your money if you want. I haven't done it myself. I'm not there yet. We're early, right? But she's on her way. She's at the line right now. So, and she's been grabbing the boards, so we'll see. We're going to keep our eyes on that WNBA MVP race. The other bets for me tonight for the baseball, One game is already going right now. It's this Boston and Tampa Bay over. So if you want to play it, you can get a better number than I did as the first 3 frames are scoreless. Kind of a simple value thing, though, for me when it comes to this total here. This number with these same exact pitchers at Fenway Park was an 8.5, 9, I even think, potentially. We had a flat 7 here at a minus 115 juice. I had to play that. And I know it was bet up a little bit, 7.5 plus 102. It's why I played the 7. And hopefully it makes the difference here. But again, if you've not bet this, you can now get, let's take a look. What do you think? 6.5. Hopefully not down to 6. 6.5. Minus money to the under. But you can get involved there at that number. The other thing I did was an outs recorded parlay. Logan Gilbert, Sonny Gray. Logan Gilbert, you could find minus 148. I think the cheap number on Gray was minus 170. It's a very interesting market, the outs recorded, because it pretty much always, as Clark knocks down her second 3, that boost is in great shape. It's for the best pitchers. Rarely do you see 18.5. Rarely. And they don't do flat 18s. I guess it's just they don't want to do pushes that much because 6 is kind of a very clean bar. But Logan Gilbert and Sonny Gray each have only missed that 6-inning mark twice. So I really like both guys tonight. Update on your live baseball board. It's an early lead for the Guardians. I almost said the Cavs. On the Mets, 2-1. Atlanta's up early on San Diego. Second leg of a doubleheader. They blew a 5-0 lead to the Padres in that first leg. Atlanta reeling a little bit now with 3 losses in a row. We're scoreless in Miami. I mean, what's going on with this Ryan Weathers? This guy's going to win a Cy Young out of nowhere. Juice in Washington, 2-1 Nats up on Minnesota. And then we just started with that Yanks-Mariners game right now. We're going to talk Eastern Conference Finals next for you right here on Sports Grid. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Game time decisions. We're back. We're live. We're in the mix. And the Eastern Conference Finals are set. The Celtics are going to be hosting the Indiana Pacers. I've probably mentioned this a little too often, but it does pain me when I see this number because it's easy to remember it was leap day. Little corny. Let's take a leap into the futures markets. Celtics, they were plus money at the time to win the East. And whenever they are a top seed, they always make the conference finals, and you knew they'd be favored over whomever they played. But I still have my hesitations around this Celtics team, and I thought certain things in the East had to be sorted out. And Boston shows up now playing in the conference finals an Indiana Pacers team who had the longest odds. Once the postseason seeding was set, they had the longest odds of any of their opponents thus far. Miami had better odds because Jimmy was healthy heading into the play-in, and the Cavs had better odds than the Pacers. You can't predict a path like this. And it's a path that's been given to a team in Boston who was 14 games better than the next closest team in the East. 7 better in the whole league. So a team in the Celtics who looked mountains better than everybody else ended up with just an unimaginable path. And again, you would say, the 1 seed, you earn an easy path, right? Like it was almost unfair that they were going to be playing the Sixers or the Heat in round 1. But the fact that they played the Heat without Jimmy was nuts. And then they got the Cavs and the Magic, and like, okay, that's sweet, right? They deserve that. And then Donovan Mitchell didn't play in the final 2 games of the series. And the series was competitive on the score in certain spots. I know it was a 5-game series. So we show up to this, right? And you have Boston, whose series have been carbon copies. Gentlemen sweeps, lose game 2 at home. Simple as that, right? But now they're playing a Pacers team that I think all things considered has to be labeled their toughest challenge, right? I mean, you consider the fact that Miami didn't have Jimmy. I mean, that's not a... Is that a playoff team, Miami? Maybe Spo and just the back end of the East, okay, but it's a fringe playoff group. I mean, that was a true 8th seed they were playing. The Pacers are better than Miami without a Jimmy Butler. And the Pacers are way better than the Cavs team without Donovan Mitchell and Jared Allen. So this is their toughest task here in the conference finals. Why the Pacers, though, are super interesting, and why they were interesting in that series against the Knicks. Now, I know, it's funny. Here's what I should do, though. Let me be fair, right? Because we talk about their path. What about this path? No Giannis. Dame missed a pair of games, and then they play the Knicks, whose entire team falls apart by the time that series plays out, right? So, in a way, you know what? Fraud. Double it up. Double fraud duty here in the Eastern Conference Finals. I guess the difference is it doesn't really matter the Pacers' path because nobody's looking to be impressed with the Pacers. The Pacers aren't supposed to be in the conference finals, and the fact that they are, tip of the cap, right? And they are not supposed to do anything other than win a game in this series. What can they? And why, again, I do believe the Pacers are such an interesting team, who, by the way, people were going to bet to beat Milwaukee with Giannis, who people were betting to beat the Knicks when the Knicks were healthy, is their offense is so good that it gives them a fighting chance, kind of no matter what. And we saw it, what they did in Game 7 is not supposed to be possible. Did you see the second Game 7, where neither team touched 100? The Pacers scored 130 in the Garden against the Knicks. And I know it's like, OG couldn't play. I understand all of that. Brunson's not there to be a defensive leader. That's the bizarre thing about that. I'm not sure Brunson would have made the difference. We'll talk Knicks in just a minute here on the show. But if the Pacers can score 120 points 4 times, or, twice, is that enough to win 2 games and cover a series spread? That's just where the Pacers are so interesting. But here's another thing that's interesting. Keep that minus 1,200 number in mind. Let's look at your conference finals MVP board. Because we just, in hour number 1, looked at Anthony Edwards sit at minus 150 when his team was minus 170. Tatum is minus 220. His team is minus 1,200. So there are some people who, oh, come on, Tatum is obviously far gone the best player on this team. Okay. I mean, yeah, he is. But he hasn't been that in these playoffs. He has probably, with the close of the series against Cleveland, edged out Jaylen Brown and Derek White for best player so far through the 10 Boston games. But the fact that that's a question is crazy. It's odd. It really is. It's abnormal that that's the case. And there's a part of me, and I'm going to break this series down a lot more tomorrow when it begins, but if I end up coming away loving Boston and loving I'll lay that 220. Because you're laying 220 compared to minus 1,200. Here's the thing with the conference finals MVPs. We have 4 of these so far, 2 East, 2 West. To me, there is a thought that at some point you can get a Derek White, Pascal, to win one of these, right? Go back, think Kyrie, Gobert. But so far, your conference finals MVPs are Tatum, Jimmy, Jokic, and Steph. Right? Now, there are people who argued for Caleb Martin over Jimmy Butler. They went Jimmy Butler. There were people who argued Jamal Murray over Nikola Jokic. They went Nikola Jokic. So, it is interesting. Are they going to be willing to give it to Jaylen Brown or Derek White? Series 1, Derek White was the answer. Series 2, it was probably Tatum. But this is fascinating. Here's the one thing I will tell you, though. The Halliburton number should be shorter. It should be shorter. If they do win this series, it will be because Tyrese Halliburton was excellent. He might have outplayed Brunson. We'll talk about the Knicks in a minute. Using the parlays against one another, right? And being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions. Only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
Back right here on Sports Grid. It is a Monday night. Let's talk some New York Knicks. The did Halliburton outplay Brunson shot maybe unnecessary. It's more because I do like Tyrese Halliburton, the player. Knicks fans hating him. Get it. You should. I just think that Halliburton should hopefully get the appropriate credit he deserves in the series. Again, whether or not he outplayed Brunson is, one, irrelevant, and two, very complicated. But, a lot of people, they pick on Tyrese Halliburton as, his spot should belong to Brunson. Stop it. It's Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is just on that team to play defense. And, again, if you want to justify that, okay, fine. But that's no. It's neither here nor there. The Knicks. And for the Knicks, first of all, this was a successful season. It was. It could have been a lot more. It could have been a lot more. The Knicks' record with Brunson and OG in the lineup was ridiculous. Regular season and into the postseason. The Knicks have every reason to believe that if they were healthy, they not only would have beaten Indiana, but given Boston a series. Because there is still an idea around the Celtics that they can crack. And the Knicks feel like the kind of team that could crack anyone with how hard they play. However, there are two questions now that they need to figure out that their season has ended in the conference finals for the second straight year. And the first one, I didn't realize how much it upset Knicks fans. But the first question is how much of this team's injuries are at the fault of Tom Thibodeau and the way he constructs things. Knicks fans have been, today, here in the office, bothered with me. Oh, it's a tired, lazy narrative. Oh, gosh. Hey, wake up. This isn't about you. This isn't a Knicks sting. It's a Tibbs sting. Maybe you only found out about Tom when he walked into MSG. I doubt it, though, so why are you lying to yourself? You think this wasn't the case in Chicago? Come on. You're not new here. And I'm not telling you the answer is definitively yes, that it's all his fault. I mean, having 6-7 key rotation pieces missing when Tom Thibodeau has the track record that he does feels a little too close to a coincidence. And I'm not telling you that if the answer is yes, you have to fire Tom. But at the end of the day, when you have the end of the season and you sit there with Brunson, Randall, OG, Josh Hart, Mitchell Robinson, and Bogdan Bogdanović all out, all injured, it begs the question, should we be playing Josh Hart uninterrupted for the first 96 minutes of this series against the Pacers? It begs the question. Knicks fans say, well, hold on a minute. What did you want us to do at that point? We were already... Relax. It's very simple. If when you get to the playoffs, it's all fair game, this core would love that. No more playing guys 48 minutes in the regular season. I think that's a fair trade-off. Wear and tear is real. If it wasn't, guess what? Jokic would play 48 every night. He could barely play it last night. A little extra nugget shot there. That's the reality. Again, I'm not saying you need to find the answer to that question, be yes, and then fire Thibodeau. I don't know why this is so tough for Knicks fans. You're angry. I get it. It was a sad scene to lose that game. But be honest with yourselves. Wake up, okay? I hate when this happens. I'm being serious about this stuff. I hate when New Yorkers act like this. This garbage. Be proud, be smart. This was an awesome season with an awesome group, and you love them, and that's great. You can't have all of them missing at the end of the bell. That can't happen. And that brings up valid questions around Tibbs. Here's the other question. Can you upgrade Randall? And are you ready to upgrade Randall? Randall's postseason track record is bad. There is not a ton of confidence that if you had Randall, this all looks that different. Notice when we say, oh, if OG was healthy, if Josh Hart was healthy, if Brunson was healthy, they don't usually point to Randall. Who's the guy? Is it Bridges? Is it Booker? Is it Embiid? Is it LeBron? That's the question. But can you upgrade Randall is the starting point. We'll be right back. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you know, as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offensive defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
We're back with you right here, Sports Grid, Game Time Decisions. So I catch my breath and a little bit of that frustration, perhaps, from, look, Knicks fans, just it comes from a place of love for the city. And there's no reason for you to accept OG Anunoby being out there limping around looking like I just got out of bed. Whoa. Okay? That's nonsense. That's what that looked like.
Whoa.
Consig is here. Love to have you, Dave. Now, we've set the table on the eliminated teams from yesterday. That was the Denver Nuggets, and that was the New York Knicks.
Yes.
Here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you were charged with pricing the 2025 NBA title, and I told you, hey, we're not changing things. Knicks stand pat, Denver stands pat. Where do you think those teams sit on that list? You can ballpark it, but where do you think the Nuggets and the Knicks would likely check in for an NBA Finals price next season?
Denver second in the West, behind the team that wins it, and ahead of the team that loses the Western Conference Finals. No question. If it's Minnesota, it's going to be close. If it's Dallas, they're ahead of Dallas. In the East, who's better than the Knicks? What are we going to put? We're going to do the joke about the Sixers being better? We're going to put them higher? What are we going to say? The Heat, because they would have had Butler, they're going to be higher? We're going to put the Cavs when we know Mitchell's leaving? No. The Knicks are the second best team in the East. Today, tomorrow, until things change, they're the second best team in the East. So, I mean,
interesting.
What, fifth, sixth overall? There's probably four Celtics and four teams in the West that would be ahead of them as far as overall NBA championship odds. So
I think that's interesting. Let's pick those apart. We'll start with Denver. if Dallas wins, they could be behind both Minnesota and Dallas. They will obviously be in front of the Mavericks if Minnesota beats them. I think OKC is interesting. It has become very clear to me that most people just didn't like this team. I picked Dallas despite liking Oklahoma City.
Right.
But that team another year better, but maybe they wouldn't be ready to put them in front of Denver. So I think you're right, because we're not going to start moving anything else around the West. The Nuggets sit at 2 or 3. I think if Dallas gets through Minnesota, there's a chance they have a better price. Because Luka is close with Jokic. Enough.
Fair.
Luka might be league MVP favorite next season, right?
Right.
In the East, Boston we know, right? But Milwaukee sat in front of them all year long, comfy. And they're going to still book Giannis strongly. And despite eliminating Philly, unless the books are done with Embiid, which would be new, I would still expect Philly to sit in front of them. So that would give us 4th on the Knicks.
It would, but you have to consider, tell you guys this in New York all the time, New Jersey, that New York, New Jersey money's different. And if you're debating between two different teams and one of them has New York in the label, they get lower odds because that money comes and it comes strong. So I would put the Knicks right along with Milwaukee. I don't know what Milwaukee is. I know Giannis will be back. Okay. But I think I'd feel better about taking bets at the same number as Milwaukee with the Knicks and then letting the Milwaukee number slowly go down. I would rather start the Knicks ahead of the Sixers. I mean, I've fallen for it too many years, K-Dub, with the Sixers. I'm not going to do it again until proven otherwise. They can't be better odds-wise than the Knicks. They just beat them in their building. And again, it was all different. Right. It's all, whatever. But are the Knicks closer to getting somebody? You talked about replacing Randall.
So we set that stage with nobody does anything. Yeah. This is where it is important for the front office to be honest with themselves. Because guess what? Philly's going to do something. Miami's going to do something. And I still think Milwaukee will be priced in front of the Knicks. I think Giannis has that type of sway. So you might get Miami to jump back up. And by the way, we'll see what the Pacers situation looks like. Because they might say, hey, we're not going to rest on our laurels here after a conference finals run. We need to add. So the Knicks could sit pat, Dave, right? Boston and Milwaukee, I believe, stay in front no matter what. And you get 3 teams to make legitimate moves. Knicks do nothing. Well, now we're not a top 4 seed. Through the odds. That becomes a problem. In the West, listen, now we'll see if they actually do it, but the Lakers are in love with this idea of getting Donovan Mitchell.
Right.
If it happens, I know you will say, oh, give me all the Laker money. I know, but guess what? It's coming. Yeah, but Dave, it's coming.
Oh, yeah, it always does.
You're going to have to move him in front of Denver if it does. You just are.
Not if it's our book. I lean over to you and say, relax, K-Dub. I know that's your guy.
And I would ask you this.
Lakers are your team.
And I would ask you this.
Let's go.
No. See, most of the biased man history of sports media. Have you seen the last 2 series? You think Donovan Mitchell would be enough to flip the results? I do. I do. Maybe? They're up 15 every game without him. And then D'Angelo Russell forgets what basketball is. Oh, I'm supposed to guard who? What do you mean? I'm supposed to guard that guy?
Doesn't sound unbiased. I'm going to have to ask Sam. That doesn't sound unbiased.
Interesting. I just got a text from Sam. Jesse Winker hit a home run. I wouldn't ask that guy a thing. Now, conference finals prices are set.
Yep.
What did you make of those numbers, East and West?
A couple places out here opened extra high on the Celtics to go get the Pacers money. In thinking, the word around here was that no matter what the number was going to be against the Knicks, it was a Celtics dump, Brinks truck play, bad guys coming from everywhere, dropping money out of helicopters to get it to bet against the Knicks. because it's 7 games and they were beat up and tired. The Pacers also played 7 games. I don't know how beat up and tired they are, but you had to get that money on the Pacers because the Celtics are probably going to win game 1. The other one was a really good source of debate. How high do you make the Timberwolves? And I think the sweet spot was around 170. There were some guys that had it as low as 160. There was an outlier that a friend of mine had it at 150. I thought 160 was fair. I could see 170, 175 being pushed up. I don't know, K-Dub. I don't think it's a shoo-in that the Timberwolves are going to the NBA Finals. I really don't.
Of course not. I mean, you
hang out with me
people that
already have a ticket punched.
Yeah, you tee me up. I know it. I see it on the face. He's trying to get me to say mean things about people. Don't do that. Don't do that. No, don't do that. You already look at the face. You already know I'm in a fighting mood. Why not? These jabronis, these idiots. Nobody's going to beat Denver. 2-0 Minnesota. Timberwolves are the best team we've ever seen. Denver's dead. Denver wins 3 in a row. Men in Black memory eraser. Denver's the best team we've ever seen. Here comes Denver. I love the Nuggets. Denver loses 2 in a row. Here comes Minnesota. This Minnesota. Oh, my goodness. You believe Anthony Edwards. He's so funny. They don't even watch the Mavericks Thunder series. They didn't even watch it. And that thing was on True TV only.
It was. You're right.
Rhombuses and parallelograms. Minus 170. Mavs opened as favorites against Oklahoma City in some spots. Minus 170 Minnesota.
Yep.
Do they get to take Jokic with them? Is that what happened?
No.
They get to bring him with?
Game. No, you can't. No. You can't go. He's going to run with the horses. That's it.
Yeah, he's in a great mood today. We'll be right back with a big WNBA update. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game time decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
All right, we're back in the fold. Game time decisions. I will stop yelling about the NBA until tomorrow. Let me not make any promises. Here's a WNBA update. Caitlin Clark, what looked like a pretty tough ankle sprain, has left this game here against the Connecticut Sun. I think it was tied up at her exit, right around there. There's been a great close game here against Connecticut. It still is, 38-36. She's only been out for a minute or two. When a superstar like this, though, gets an injury, people start to panic. Yep. She just walked back to the bench, so that panic can cease, Dave. We're not about to do she's out 3 weeks, 4 weeks, anything like that. I would expect her to be back in. I don't know if they put her back in before the half is done, 3 minutes, 3:30 left. Maybe, though, I would say she'll start the second half, just considering she just walked to the bench.
Yeah, I think that is encouraging. The shoe was off. She limped off. She's back on the bench, tying up the shoe. Maybe she'll go in just quick to last minute or whatever to do something. But, man, they went all in, huh? Brand new court in Indiana. It looks great. Trailing right now. There's a lot of people that have her prop over. I can tell you that right now. There's a lot of people that want to have her go back in, K-Dub. This is one of those ones where
no doubt.
Making the halftime number, you do the in-game right now like she's never coming back. But you see her come back like that, you have to react to her coming back and being okay.
Yeah, I think think about this, right? What's the most annoying thing that could happen? She doesn't come back in, fever win outright, and the worst people you know make the argument that they're better without her, right? So I'd be cautious running to the Sun. Aaliyah Boston's at 4 right now. I will tell you this, Dave. You asked, and to the best of my abilities, I did deliver. You said, hey, I need you to be locked in on the WNBA. We need edges. Haven't lost yet.
You went 7-0 on opening day. I told everybody. I said, my hockey guy, who's not really a hockey guy, but is really a WNBA guy. I said, I got the WNBA
Don't tell me
guy.
that. You opened the door with my hockey guy?
I was trying to put you on other shows. I said, I got a guy.
I like that.
You give me 7 props.
No, I like that.
It doesn't happen
I like that,
boys and girls.
I like that a lot.
Get him, you got to enjoy him.
It's a good point. Baseball, Rafael Devers, 6 straight games with a home run. Tomorrow, Dinger Tuesday.
Unbelievable.
Not for me. We are on the over that game at the 7, so three runs for Boston. It's bottom 4. I'll take that. Any baseball thoughts for you today, Conchig? Anything you had eyed up?
Well, I came in the old school Ray stuff because I like Tampa today.
Looks good.
I didn't
Did
know.
You? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know you were on Boston.
We got juice. No. I got the over. Got the over at the 7.
Okay. All right, so get the Rays to score some runs here.
Sure.
Washington rolling at home, and it's not just for Sam, but Washington every day, right? Milwaukee, yes, against Miami, and then, I mean, I really like this Gilbert guy for Seattle. That was an under.
Yep.
That's what we looked at there, and then I don't know. I got excited today about the St. Louis Cardinals throwbacks and all this other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They had Nelly come out to do this video and all these things. So I started to get a little excited about the Cardinals, and I paused and I looked at it, and I'm like, man, every day they bet this Sonny Gray. This is a book guy play. Baltimore against the world. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, interesting. The Sonny Gray thing was interesting because I was talking to DRS, and he said he liked Baltimore, but he felt like it was going to be a public dog.
Oh.
Then I saw Sonny Gray, and I was like, ooh, what's the number? But this thing was jumping up minus 135.
Yeah.
I couldn't get to the number. I was interested in a Sonny Gray bounce back. I couldn't get to that number. Minus 135 for a Cardinals team against Baltimore? I couldn't get there. I played Gray and Gilbert each to pitch 6. Easiest way to explain it. In a parlay, plus 160.
Okay.
So that's what we played with that. So
I like that.
You see the hockey?
That's good. Yeah, look at that. You went with the kid to score a goal. Plus 135.
You want the trend?
Stars are stars when you need them, right? Stars are stars in Game 7s. You got
ready?
Biggest game, them on the road, He better score, K-Dub. Otherwise, they might lose.
4 straight games facing elimination, McDavid has scored.
Stars
stepped up.
Yeah.
Steps up. Only 4 straight games without a goal. I like that.
Yep.
He only has 2 goals this postseason. See, this is where the books cost themselves. Let me tell you that. They don't post it. They don't post to know that much, though, right? I mean, maybe some do. But imagine cleaning up on that. How many games into the postseason is he? 11? 12 or 11?
Would they have the first?
Would they go with L.A.? 5 or 6?
4, right? They swept. No.
They
no.
Did they sweep?
5.
5? So you're sitting there 9-2 to the no on the McDavid goal score. A lot of books didn't make any money off that.
Nope.
Yeah, because they only have the anytime. Or no, did they? Because they click it and then it grades
anytime.
no.
If he doesn't score,
so we made no money off of it. I'm saying the wrong thing. We didn't get to make any money. They win every night. Okay, never mind.
The books are very happy with the
wrong.
results of him not scoring.
Yeah, they're loving everything they're seeing.
We're good with that.
They're offering terrible numbers and winning every night on bad numbers. Interesting. I'll give you a quick one.
Yep.
I'll give you a quick one. So yesterday, I don't even know why I didn't bring this up to you because we were talking. We're gonna do a couple other things before we let Dave get out of here. But I bet the Premier League because it was the last day.
Right.
The under in that Everton Arsenal game, which got there. That's not the point. The prices on those props, that's got to be the worst stuff I've seen. You're getting guys minus 375. The entire Man City team, you start 11 guys and one of them's a keeper. We got 8 guys minus money anytime goal scorer. What do you mean?
Welcome to the future. They're 5 years ahead of what this place is going to be like. I'm telling you, it's not going to get better. The pricing's not going to get better here in the States. It's going to look like that.
Great. So we'll just have to take everyone for 4+ goals to try and make money. We're going to close it out on the other side. Game Time Decisions. Using the parlays against one another, right, and being able to get a little bit of juice consig, I found to be a little interesting.
Believe me, all the rhombuses and parallelograms are constantly trying to search and find out those things every day. It's one of the battles that you as you expand the menu, you encounter new battles.
Game Time Decisions, only on Sports Grid.
How fragile are these guys? It's amazing. They're supposed to be the greatest athletes in the world, and yet they can't walk and chew gum at the same time without getting hurt, for goodness sakes.
That Trout injury really is a bummer, too, because people thought he was going to have a big year. And I look, I don't feel bad for the Angels. I don't like Mike Trout in Anaheim. I thought he should have left when his contract was up.
In-game live, prime time, only on Sports Grid.
With the onset of NIL and the transfer portal, it is allowing players to develop further in college, and guys that would maybe be stuck on the bench at a power program and not have as much shine are having the ability to find themselves in the spotlight.
Lane Kiffin came out and said we need to get bigger and more physical in terms of the offense and defensive lines, and that's why he went out and recruited that talent.
Inside the transfer portal, only on Sports Grid.
And now you have to qualify, and these majors, you got to go do it, man. Like, and it just comes off really petty to sit up there and be like, I'm not.
You know what you signed up for. So I don't like the pettiness, and I 100% think Taylor Gooch should be in the major championships. So in the same note, I'm saying this, but also it's like, hey, this is the world in which we live in right now, and you don't deserve anything.
Only on Sports Grid.
We're in the mix. We're live. It's a Monday night. It's Kevin Walsh and Dave Sharapan. Before he gets out of here to head over to In-Game Live land, Consig, I realized there was something I wanted to ask you, but I couldn't remember what, and I've remembered. Shota Imanaga. You love this Imanaga.
Oh.
Even money to win NL Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
It's a pitcher prop, so you know I have my hesitations.
Correct.
But if that was Yamamoto instead of Imanaga, I said that number's minus 250, maybe minus 300.
Correct.
I'm tempted at the price. What do you make of it?
I wasn't even looking at that market until you said it. Now I might have to go shopping tonight. Check it out. I like that a lot. I was in Chicago over the weekend. I saw Skeens on Friday, and my intentions were to go see Imanaga in person on Saturday. Some things came up, had a family situation, and couldn't go to the game. I went back to Vegas. Who's going to beat him right now?
There's a book that someone told me there's a book that has Skeens at 6-1 to win. Look, here's all I'm saying. You want to get value, you want to, so you want to beat a number but not cash a ticket, you bet Skeens at 200-1 to win Cy Young. I promise you it won't win. I promise you'll beat the number.
100%. But
that's a Dave number. That's a you number.
Yeah.
Right?
Without a doubt.
Hey, get him to come bet Skeens. Bet him to come bet Skeens.
Yeah.
But they seem to be a little worried he actually could win Rookie of the Year, which is interesting.
Without a doubt. That's the thing. You have to look. It's not so much what you make the price on him. It's what the price is on everybody else and who the actual threats are to beat him. That's why the Imanaga price, I'm surprised, isn't minus money. Because we're into May 20th today. And he has been everything as advertised and then some. And he's on the Cubs, which is still, it's not the Dodgers. You're right. There would have been a Dodger tax if it was Yamamoto. But he keeps winning. He keeps pitching well. His ERA is there. I don't know who's going to beat him, K-Dub. I don't think there's many challengers. So if it's me and you in that room, he's a minus money favorite. It's worth shopping, and it's worth putting it out there.
Yeah, I think the thing that's bothered me is I missed his Cy Young number when I shouldn't have. Like, we did a whole thing on the show about his Cy Young price, and then I just didn't bet it. It was a bad job out of me.
Happens.
But he's under 5-1 to win Cy Young. I'll ask you this, and I believe I know the answer, so it's a simple yes or no. Can he win Cy Young and not Rookie of the Year?
Yes.
You're the first person to say that.
Yes. Skeens.
See, hold on. Can I tell you, though? I've been worried about that. I keep asking because there's a part back here, and I think with everybody that I talk to that's trying to figure this riddle out. Oh, this is a good riddle. But it feels, for some reason, it shouldn't be yes, but that feels like the right answer.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it can be the other way, right? He can win Rookie of the Year.
No.
And not have to win the Cy Young.
Right.
That's for sure.
We'll figure it out. All right, Dave, get out of here.
Hey, boys.
You helped and you didn't. In-game live, Dave Sharapan will be in a mix right there. Is it with Matty Peralta tonight? Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, that's can't miss. Oh, I love that for the fellas. Awesome. Listen, I hate to leave you with my card already on the board, so I told you I wanted to get involved Astros Angels.
Wait a minute.
Reed Detmers is going tonight for L.A., and certainly Detmers could be had. Righties or lefties. I know, shout out Donnie Rightside. He's involved with some Kyle Tucker tonight. The Tucker prices are expensive, but rightfully so. He's been a monster. I was interested in maybe Tucker to score a run. I found it expensive. So then I was thinking between Yordan and Jeremy Pena. Yordan does not have good hitter-pitcher history, but to some degree that almost entices me because I feel like I'm getting cheap stuff on Yordan. He's minus 145, right? Hits, runs, RBIs. And Yordan crushes lefties because, of course, he does. But so does Jeremy Pena. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play A little Jordan, 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs. Little Jeremy Pena for an RBI. And we're going to get in the mix that way as we close out Game Time Decisions. Loved having you. Great night here on the show. Aaliyah Boston, make it happen in that second half. And I'll see you tomorrow.